Hokage, married Kushina, and became Naruto's father. Episode 1. Ye Feng Jioshinai has been captured. Ye Feng looked at the group of young men and women who rushed in a hurry, and suddenly a familiar and unfamiliar memory flooded into his mind, and he suddenly stood in place. He traveled to the world of Hokage. This is Konoha village. If memory serves, less than 10 years have passed since the Second Ninja World War. Although the undercurrent is turbulent, on the surface, at least it is a rare era of peace, and Ye Feng is an ordinary subordinate. The identity is the war orphan that the Uzumaki clan picked up on the way to Konoha village when Kushina sent him. The young man and woman in front of him are the same young ninjas as Ye Kid, the 4 people led by Makoto Uchiha, as well as Ye Feng Mizumon and the Hinata brothers. Makoto Uchiha and Yakid are childhood sweethearts, while Makoto Uchiha is also Joshinai's best friend. As for Ye Feng Shuimen and the Hyuga brothers, they are all ninjas of the same period. From his memory, Ye Feng learned that Ye Feng Shuimen is a genius ninja who has learned all kinds of ninjutsu best in recent years, and has a special talent for ninjutsu, although the level is still medium ninja, but in fact, the strength is already at the upper ninja level. This is the man who can become a Hokage in his early 20s. The Hyuga brothers are also the leaders of Naka Shinobi. As for Ye Feng, he was just an ordinary subordinate. Just as Ye Feng digested his memory, a line of words suddenly appeared in his mind. System starts. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 opening options. Option 1, be a salted fish, sit idly by, stay away from the plot. Reward, C-Class Physical Technique, Konoha Great Whirlwind. Option 2, create chaos, hinder the rescue, and join the villain lineup. Bonus, Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Option 3, leave Konoha village immediately and participate in the rescue of Joshinai. Reward, Supreme Opening Pack. Settlement immediately after task completion. Ye Feng's eyes widened in surprise. The real crosser perks are coming. Sure enough, the system will only be late, but it will never be absent. Ye Feng thought very seriously. This is a very standard god-level choice. When a salted fish is the safest, it is also the least profitable. Konoha Whirlwind, isn't it the unique body art that Kai taught to Lee Locke? This reward is really a salted fish reward. The second option looks tempting and is actually a dead end. Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye. But Ye Feng is not a fool. His current 3-legged cat Kung Fu, before he can create any chaos, he will definitely be arrested. The dark parts and roots of Konoha are no joke. Even if it is really successful, opening the kaleidoscope chakra, I will definitely not escape Konoha's pursuit. Himself, a person who is not of the Uchiha family, opened the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye, and it is strange not to be grabbed and sliced. The third option, the Supreme Opening Package, sounds like a great name. I don't know what it is, but it can't be worse than the Great Whirlwind of Konoha, right? Don't kill Konoha's whirlwind, the action is too frustrated. Moreover, Ye Feng caught the word of choice. As long as he immediately left Konoha village and participated in the rescue operation, he would have completed the mission. Regarding this, Ye Feng also asked about the system. The system reply is subject to the system settlement. It's just that the kidnapping of Joshinai is full of weirdness. If nothing else, how could a few small Yunin Murakami shinobu lurk into Konoha village without being discovered, and kidnap the 9-tailed man Juli Joshinai? In the current Konoha village, there are 8 flying sun slashes in the prime of life, young Konoha Sannin, and elite shinobi such as Konoha White Fang. This reminds Naruto of the beginning of Naruto's story, the Naka shinobi Mizuki who used Naruto to steal the Book of Seals and was finally defeated by Naruto's multiple shadow doppelganger technique. These 2 events are actually very similar. No matter how you look at it, it looks like someone deliberately connived at it. In any case, Ye Feng has already thought of it, complete option 3 within his ability, and immediately leave Konoha village to participate in the rescue of Joshinai. Uchiha Makoto said to herself, this group of bastards, taking advantage of the lack of security in the clan sacrifice of our Uchiha clan, kidnapped Joshinai. I heard that it was an undercover agent arranged by Yunin village in our Konoha to arrest Joshinai. Ye Feng Shuimen frowned and said, I'll go to Joshinai's house first to see what the situation is. Saying that, the figure of Ye Feng Shuimen flashed and disappeared from everyone's field of vision with an afterimage. Instantaneous technique. Everyone showed a look of envy. What a fast teleportation technique. I heard that the secret techniques of 3 generations have been taught to Ye Feng Shuimen. Ye Feng knew that it was not the secret art of the 3rd generation, but the art of the 2nd generation of the Flying Thunder God. Although the 3 generations are very frustrated in the anime, from Yokaid's memory, it seems that the reputation of the 3 generations in Konoha is like the sky. Yokaid immediately looked at Uchiha Makoto and the Hinata brothers and said, let's go out and look for it. Maybe there are some clues. Uchiha Makoto glared at Yokaid and said, you go? The person next to him immediately laughed and said, Ye Feng, you can stay in the village well, with your strength, going out is to add blockage. You, the crane tailor, still want to heroically save the beauty? If you are so weak, don't be stubborn. Ye Feng rolled his eyes, ignored them, ran chakra directly, gathered chakra on his feet, and rushed towards the gate of Konoha village. I have to say that the ordinary D-level escape technique is really slow, just slightly twice the speed of ordinary running. Compared to the yellow flash just now, the the difference is too big. Soon, Ye Feng had already run to the entrance road of Konoha village, and from a distance, there was already a group of people surrounding the door. Ye Feng thought about it, he couldn't get out from the door. Fortunately, he remembers that there is a path that can be climbed out of the village. So, Ye Feng immediately turned around. However, there are also people guarding the path. This person is none other than the young Uchiha Fugaku, the father of the future Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke. Ye Feng, why are you here? Ye Feng hurriedly said, Fuyue, look, there are people there. Taking advantage of Fuyue's turn, Ye Feng rushed directly over. Hey, don't go. Now it's dangerous outside, there are treacherous people from Yunin village. Fugaku wanted to grab Yokaide, but saw Makoto and the Hinata brothers also coming towards here. Forget it, this kid is going out to find death by himself, no wonder I am. Fugaku shook his head and said to the Makoto and Hinata brothers who came over, what are you doing? Can't go out here. In the blink of an eye, Ye Feng quickly escaped from Konoha village over the wall. Ding, leave Konoha village, mission completion is 50%. What's next? Ye Feng suddenly saw a strand of burgundy hair on the ground. This is Joshinai's hair. Ding, find clues. 60% completion of tasks. Please continue to track down. Episode 2. Ye Feng frowned, this task has not been completed yet. In my mind, the direction provided by the system also appeared, just in the northeast direction. Ye Feng looked at the dark forest and hesitated. This forest is too dark, right? It's kind of scary. At this time, Ye Feng was wondering whether to chase after him. I'm just a shinobi. Do you want to go back and be a salted fish? But now that the task is 60% complete, maybe you can find 4 more hairs and complete it? Ye Feng gritted his teeth, he didn't come out. How could he stop halfway? Pursue. At the same time, at the gate of Konoha village, a yellow figure shot out like lightning. It is the Wave Feng Shui gate. Watergate. What clues do you have in Joshinai's house? The person who asked this person was none other than Konoha White Fan Banner Mushua Shigeru. Watergate took out a burgundy hair. This hair should be Joshinai's. Kiki Shuamao immediately summoned a ninja dog and made it smell Joshinai's hair. The ninja immediately roared towards the northeast. The smell of Joshinai should be heading northeast, but the smell is already very thin. Watergate hurriedly said, Brother Shuamao, can you catch up with them? Chimu Shuamao said with a deep groan, try it. Kiki Shuamao turned around and said, go back and report the situation to Lord Hokage, I'll go after them with Watergate. Saying that, Chimu Shuamao jumped and disappeared into the night. Soon, Ye Feng found a second hair according to the system's prompts. Ding, find clues. 70% completion of tasks. Please continue to track down. At this time, Ye Feng also recalled a little bit of the plot of Hokage. According to the plot of Hokage, the hair deliberately left by Joshinai was found by Watergate. After a night, early the next day, Joshinai had been kidnapped to the edge of the border. Just when Joshinai was desperate, Watergate was born, and the hero saved the beauty. In the end, Watergate successfully rescued Joshinai and won Joshinai's heart. Now, there is the variable of Night Maple. Ye Feng is curious now. He picked up all the clues. Can Watergate still find Joshinai? If because of his own variable, Joshinai was really captured, wouldn't the entire plot behind the Hokage have all changed? Full of doubts, Ye Feng quickly found the third hair. Regardless of whether the plot changes or not, now that the mission is already 80% progressive, it should be only 2 hairs away from completing the task. At this time, Ye Feng would definitely not be able to give up. What Konoha whirlwind, he would definitely not want. Chasing after him, Night Maple had already chased to the edge of the woods. The figure of Ye Feng flashed and landed on the treetops, looked towards the plain outside, and suddenly, the pupils of his eyes suddenly shrank. 100 meters away, several people were fleeing in the direction of Yunin village, and the slender figure at the back, with red hair, wasn't it Joshinai? Just when Ye Feng discovered Joshinai, he was also discovered. What man? A gloomy voice suddenly sounded behind Ye Feng. Not good. Before Ye Feng could react, a palm had already slapped towards Ye Feng's back. Lie down. Ye Feng spurted out blood, felt a sharp pain in his chest, and all his internal organs were about to be shattered, and fell from the tree. The ninja who attacked also fell. Ye Feng saw that he was wearing a Yunin village ninja suit, and he knew that it was not good. Wearing a standard ninja uniform, at least a medium ninja, a subordinate imp, simply looking for death. The ninja smiled disdainfully, slammed, and disappeared. Shadow doppelganger. In his opinion, this subordinate imp hit his own trick, and he will definitely die, and he doesn't need to look at it at all. Joshinai also noticed the movement of the woods, and when she looked back, her face turned white, and she couldn't see who it was, but she probably knew that it was the person who came to rescue her. Killed by the people of Yunin village. Humph, stop struggling, hurry up. See no, whoever comes to save you will die. I thought it was funny, and I endured it to find death. When Joshinai heard this, she faltered, and Ye Feng's smiling face appeared in her mind. No, it definitely won't be Ye Feng, a coward. Joshinai thought about it, and her body trembled. In the distance, Ye Feng leaned against the tree, panting, his eyes gradually losing focus. Ding, find Joshinai. Congratulations to the host for completing the opening option 3. and reward the supreme opening package. Hurry up and open the supreme opening package. Ye Feng felt that he was about to hang, his whole body was cold, his eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, and he was about to be unable to open them. Damn, almost played myself to death. Now this gift package is the possibility of his last survival. Ding, whether the host opens the supreme opening package. Yes. Then, a dazzling light emanated from the big gift bag. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting the SSS level character card 1000 Hand Pillars. After fusing this card, the host will obtain all the ninjutsu, physical arts, immortal arts, combat experience, and cultivation talents between the 1000 Hand Pillars. Due to the large gap between the strength of the host and the character card, it is estimated that the full fusion time is 1 year. Does the host choose fusion? Fusion. Ye Feng's eyes lit up. There was salvation. Between the 1000 Hand Pillars, the original Hokage, ninja god, the reincarnation of Azura, the vitality is terrifying, the injury heals itself immediately, and Uchiha once said that on the battlefield, no one can kill the pillars. In an instant, a virtual space appeared in Ye Feng's mind. In the center of the space stood a figure standing above the heavens and the earth. It was the 1000 Hand Pillar. Ye Feng's perspective was brought into the 1000 Hand Pillars, as if he was the 1000 Hand Pillars, and the enemy on the opposite side turned out to be Uchiha from his youth. Mudan, birth of the Sea of Trees. I saw the earth rumble and shake. Densely packed small saplings break through the ground and grow wildly at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a dense forest in a blink of an eye. The trees in all directions stretched out their hideous and thick branches like life, drowning Uchiha. This is the blood succession limit between the 1000 Hand Pillars. Ye Feng opened his eyes and felt a very rapid change in his whole body. The pain in the body, which quickly disappeared. The cold feeling also disappeared. All the pores on the whole body, instantly stretched. The whole body is instantly filled with power. Be able to feel the energy around you being absorbed by the body and transform it into chakra in the body very quickly. Moreover, Ye Feng could feel that he seemed to be integrated with the surrounding environment and had a special affinity. In just a few seconds, Ye Feng went from dying to full of blood. Not only that, he could also feel that he could launch the move in his mind just now. Mudan, tree sea birth. In a thought, a sea of trees descended. This is the terrifying blood succession limit between the 1000 Hand Pillars. Moreover, Hokage also inherited all the combat experience of this ninja god between the pillars. Just for the moment of fusion, Ye Feng had already felt his strength and increased tenfold and 100 times. This is only the degree of preliminary integration, and if it is completely integrated, it is simply unimaginable. Episode 3. The ninja of Yunin Village did not have any awareness of the changes in Ye Feng's body. They just took the appearance of Night Maple as a joke. Jioshinai, I advise you not to play tricks. No matter how hard you grind, no one will come to your rescue. Jioshinai gritted his teeth and said, aren't you afraid of causing war when Yunin Village captured me? Yunin Murakami Shinobu heard Jioshinai's words, and immediately laughed. 'Cause war? Your Konoha village is even more afraid of war than our Yunin village. I'm not afraid to tell you that as long as we return to Yunin village, Konoha will not dare to fight. Because when you come to our Yunin village, you will become the human pillar of the tailed beast. When Jioshinai heard this, his eyes widened. Human pillar power? You guys. Yunin Murakami smiled and said, Jioshinai, you don't have to worry, our Yunin village will also treat you like a guest, even higher than Konoha's. If you don't dislike it, you will be the wife of the next Thunder Shadow. In our Yunin village, it is the First Lady. When Jioshinai heard this, his face turned white. The reason why she was kidnapped was because Yunin village needed a tailed beast container, and to become the wife of the next Thunder Shadow? Although Yunin Murakami Shinobu said it well, she didn't want it at all. Isn't the 8-tailed human pillar power of your Yunin village there? Yunin Murakami smiled and said, there is another one. Saying that, Yunin Murakami Shinobu clapped his palms and said, I'm done saying everything. It's useless for you to resist, obediently obey. The border is not far ahead. The person who picked us up should have arrived. Jioshinai wanted to cry. I don't want to be the wife of Lei Ying. I don't want it. Jioshinai was very flustered in his heart, and one picture after another appeared in his mind. Hey, don't hit me. You are so violent. No one will marry you in the future. Ye Feng covered his head. Watergate smiled and said, your hair is fiery red. It's pretty good looking. Jioshinai, come and wash my dishes. Women can't help but know how to cook. Hee hee. Mikoto looked at her with a smile in her apron. Jioshinai, don't you really want to swim? It's cool. Friends waved at her. Gentle Uzumaki Mito old lady, we were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill it. In this way, even if you want to live as a 9-tailed human pillar, you can get happiness. Jioshinai thought of companions such as Hokage, Mikoto, and Watergate, as well as the old lady Mito of Uzumaki, and many, many friends. Jiu can't bear you. Just when Jiu was desperate, suddenly, countless small saplings appeared on the ground, instantly growing into trees. These trees instantly separated everyone. Muduan? Who? Jiu eyes widened, not knowing which adult had come to save him. Grab her. With an order, everyone pounced on Jiu. At this moment, 5 figures suddenly appeared and fought with them. Kushina looked at Konoha's adult hopefully, but her eyes widened. Night Maple? These people are all Night Maples? Jiu face was sluggish, and before he could react, he was directly swept away by the thick branches that came out. Ugh! Jiu exclaimed, finding himself rolled up in front of a person. Before he could react, Jiu feet were soft, and he was about to fall to his knees. Hey! Pepper, what are you doing? Ye Feng hugged the soft Jiu at once. Jiu looked up, with black hair, sword eyebrows, and starry eyes, and a hearty smile. Unexpectedly, Ye Feng, who was usually timid, was actually the first person to rush to save her. Thinking of this, Jiu showed a happy smile. Night Feng? Ye Feng smiled and said, how is it, surprise or not? Jiu saw Ye Feng's smiling face, and the tension and worry in her heart were swept away. She looked at the Night Maples beside her, and then looked at the 5 Night Maples fighting on the opposite side. This is the shadow doppelganger technique? How else? Ye Feng only fused less than 5% of the character cards between the 1,000-hand pillars, and he felt that he was able to completely abuse these ninjas in Yunin village. If it were to fully fuse 100% of its power, it would be unimaginable. Jiu was stunned. When did Ye Feng learn the shadow avatar? And this would escape technique. Jiu looked ahead, except for the one who took the lead and broke the shadow doppelganger and fled. The other cloud ninja had been beaten to the ground by Ye Feng's shadow doppelganger. The elite undercover agent of Yunin village, who has been operating in Konoha for many years, was solved by Ye Feng like this. Want to run? Come here. Ye Feng's hands froze, and countless tree roots immediately flew out. Nope. That Shangnan looked back, his field of vision, covered with thick roots, instantly drowned himself. Ye Feng sighed. The blood succession limit between the 1,000-hand pillars is really too strong. It's just 5% strength, and it solves a Shangnan. The name of the ninja god is indeed worthy of the name. Jiu said dumbly, Ye Feng, are they all dead? Ye Feng shook his head and said, no, they are all arrested, just wait to see when our reinforcements arrive. At this time, Jiu blushed and said shyly, Ye Feng, can you untie the rope of my hands? Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, wait for the arrival of the yellow flashwave feng shui gate, respect the original. Reward, C-grade psychic little toad. Option 2, escort Jiu to Yunin village and become a villain. Rewards, A-level ninjutsu hell assault Shirban Genjutsu. Option 3, untie the hand rope and pick up Jiu Reward, Jiu good feeling point plus 10. Supreme Pack *1. Episode 4. Ye Feng said that he also wanted to respect the original, but the original book did not respect him. Ye Kid is now comprehending all the ninjutsu between the 1,000-hand pillars, including the A-level psychic technique Goju Rashomon. In contrast, the reward of option 1, C-level psychic summoning Little Toad, this is underestimated. As for escorting Jiu to Yunin village, such a yellow-haired plot, Ye Feng will definitely not do it. Isn't such a cute red-haired little lowly fragrant to bring around? In contrast, the third option, Ye Feng said that he was very satisfied. Whether Jiu favorability value increases or not, it doesn't matter at all. What matters is the reward behind, the Supreme Gift Package. The previous time you could open an SSS level character card, what will you get this time? Just as Ye Feng was about to loosen Jiu hand rope, a yellow figure flew over. Jiu the person who came had blonde hair, a cold and resolute face, and a fierce murderous aura. Buofeng Shui Men finally arrived. He saw Jiu being held by a person, and his heart suddenly popped out. This person has kidnapped Jiu Find death. Instantaneous technique. The figure of the water gate disappeared in a flash. Ugh. The figure of the water gate suddenly appeared behind Ye Feng, and at the same time, the kuwu in his hand scratched the back of Ye Feng's neck. Ye Feng squinted, and the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. Sure enough, it was a yellow flash, very fast. But my reaction is faster. Ye Feng dodged the attack of the water gate with his head down. Jiu suddenly exclaimed, Watergate. No, Buofeng Shui Men missed a move, and the yellow figure had flashed in front of Ye Feng again. And at this time, the Watergate saw clearly that it was Ye Feng. The whole person's eyes widened. Night Maple? It's over, I can't take it anymore. Watergate's movements were faster than his brain, and Kuwu stabbed into Ye Feng's chest. This. I didn't mean to. Watergate was full of guilt in his heart, and he lost his mind for a while, and he actually did such a thing. I didn't see it clearly, was it Ye Maple? However, in the next second, the Ye Feng and Jiu in front of him turned into wood. Avatar technique. The figures of Ye Feng and Jiu appeared 10 meters away. Jiu himself doesn't know when he was substituted, but seeing that Ye Feng was okay, he breathed a sigh of relief and glared angrily at Watergate. Watergate, what are you doing? Watergate waved his hand with a guilty look and said, I'm sorry, Ye Feng, I didn't mean it, I didn't see it clearly just now, and I thought it was an undercover agent in Yunin village. Are you alright? Why are you here? Ye Feng smiled, didn't say anything, and shot directly. Fighting back is not Ye Feng's style. I saw that as soon as Ye Feng's foot stepped on it, the ground instantly cracked. All the chakras condensed on his feet, glared hard, and instantly appeared in front of the water gate. Watergate's eyes widened, and his heart was horrified. What a speed! The water gate had only had time to protect his hands in front of him, and he was already kicked away. Tell you not to look at people, tell you to shoot indiscriminately. The water gate was in the air, and he was constantly punched and kicked by Ye Feng, but he never fell. Remember to look at people later. Next time like this, I'll burst your dog's head. The water gate broke 3 trees in a row, before stopping and sliding to the ground. His clothes were all broken, his face was swollen, and his face was sluggish. He was a genius ninja, a man who wanted to become a Hokage, and was actually beaten by a crane-tail shinobi. Although Watergate was guilty in his heart, he didn't fight back the moment Ye Feng made a move, but he didn't expect it at all. He just fell behind a move, and he was beaten by Ye Feng. After being sent flying, it is completely out of control. Such combat controllability is terrifying. Could it be that Ye Feng was a peerless genius in battle? Or maybe Ye Feng had been hiding his strength before? Jiu also stood in place stupidly, watching the water gate being beaten a little badly. But she was even more angry. If it weren't for the avatar technique just now, Ye Feng might have died. Watergate should be hit. At this time, a pitch-black crow flew in the air. The crow's eyes were also pitch black, reflecting the face of a middle-aged man. Konoha Village, Hokage office. Ape Fei-ri looked at the scene reflected in the crystal ball, and his brows furrowed slightly. As a doctor of ninjutsu, Sarutobi-sun / all non-blood succession limit ninjutsu will be used. The crow psychic technique is nothing. He saw through the eyes of the psychic crow in the crystal ball that Ye Feng was using the Mudu avatar technique just now. What matters is not the Mudan avatar technique, but the timing of Ye Feng's use of the avatar technique. Although the avatar technique is only a C-level ninjutsu, it is definitely not simple to be able to use it so well. This is completely wrong with the setting of the tail of the night maple crane. Moreover, the punch and kick just now is very solid. Every punch, every kick, is just right. It doesn't feel like a child's fight, like a battle-hardened general bullying a schoolboy. Watergate was bullied too badly. There's something wrong with this kid. Konoha White Fang hasn't arrived yet? At this moment, Konoha White Fang and Chimu Shuamao arrived. He saw the water gate leaning against the tree, and then looked at Ye Feng and Jiu and frowned. A shinobi appeared here, and the first feeling of Konoha White Fang was that something was wrong. Not far away, several Yun shinobi fell to the ground, already unconscious. This is all Watergate's handwriting? But how did Watergate get hurt like this? Chimu Shuamao looked at Ye Feng with a puzzled look and said, "Are you Ye Feng? What's going on?" However, Ye Feng ignored Konoha White Fang and walked over to Jiu Ye Feng untied Jiu hand rope, and a princess hugged him, holding the weak Jiu in her arms. Ah. Night Maple. Wait. Jiu exclaimed softly. No boy had ever hugged her like this. Jiu covered her face, and she could feel that her face must be crimson and hot. In the faint and gentle moonlight, Ye Feng's flowing black hair was dyed with a layer of silvery white brilliance, which looked particularly different. Jiu secretly peeked at Ye Feng through his fingers, and his heart fluttered. Ding, complete option 3. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward. Jiu good feeling value, +10. Supreme Pack *1. Episode 5. Chimu Shuamao saw Ye Feng pick up Jiu ignored him, and frowned. At this time, Ye Feng looked at Chimu Shuamao and said, "Those Yunren are the murderers. I will send her back first." Chimu Shuamao hurriedly said, "Wait, it's dangerous on the road, I'll send you back." "No thanks." After speaking, Ye Feng hugged Jiu and jumped gently to the treetops. "Jiu let's go back to the village." Jiu nodded, jumped continuously, and disappeared into the night. Chimu Shuamao saw that Ye Feng was leaving in the direction of Konoha village, and the 3 generations of psychic crows were following, so he did not chase after him. "Watergate, are you alright?" "It's okay." Watergate shook his head and got up, looking lonely. His confidence had just been severely hit. Along the way, Watergate was a scholar in the ninja world, but I didn't expect to be abused lightly today. Chimu Shuamao glanced at the Watergate strangely, and there was an incredible guess in his heart. The injury on the Watergate should not be done by the lower shinobi, right? It is impossible. It must have been injured in the fight with Yunin Murakami Shinobu. Thinking of this, Chimu Shuamao said, "Watergate, you have worked hard, let me deal with all the next things." Saying that, Chimu Shuamao summoned 8 ninja dogs, bit all the undercover agents of Yunin village lying on the ground, and dragged them back. The quiet night sky, the big round moon hanging in the sky, and a secret black crow became the background of Ye Feng and Jiu Ye Feng frowned and looked at the crow. He also felt that it was an eye. Konoha, Hokage's office. "The little one found my eyeliner." "Forget it, since it's back, there's no need to look at it." Sarutobi smiled, stood up, and left the office leisurely. In the air on Ye Feng's side, the crow slammed and turned into nothing. Jiu did not notice anything, but quietly looked at Ye Feng. "You, how did you find me?" asked Juzanai weakly. The sound is completely devoid of the momentum of the past. Such a weak Jioshinai has never appeared in Ye Feng's memory. Thanks to your hair. Such beautiful hair, I saw it at a glance. Jioshinai smiled, pinched his hair, and said, really? Jioshinai's heart suddenly warmed, her pretty face had a faint blush, and her heart beat very quickly. Ye Feng smiled and said, actually, the first time I saw you, I thought that your long red hair was particularly good looking. This is what Ye Feng's predecessor has always wanted to say, but the predecessor is a war orphan and has always been very cowardly and afraid to say it. Now Ye Feng said it for him, and it can be regarded as fulfilling his long-cherished wish. This is also how Ye Feng feels when watching anime. Of course, Ye Feng sees the live-action Jioshinai, which is even better than the anime. The breeze gently blew Jioshinai's long red hair, her beautiful cheeks, and her blushing dimples looked beautiful and moving. Yes? Jioshinai opened her big eyes, looking at Ye Feng's cold face. Her heart was sweet. Is this a confession? At this time, Jioshinai found that he had not known Ye Feng for a long time. At this time, Jioshinai discovered that Ye Feng was a very good ninja and a very trustworthy person. Thank you, Ye Feng. Jioshinai looked shy, took the initiative to stretch out her arms and hug Ye Feng's neck, quietly looking at this man who changed her fate. Under the faint moonlight, the figures of Ye Feng and Jioshinai gradually fused together, just like the heartbeat of the two accelerated. Kushina suddenly remembered what Mrs. Uzumaki Mito had said, we were brought here as containers for tailed beasts. But before that, find love to fill it. In this way, even if you want to live as a nine-tailed human pillar, you can get happiness. She suddenly felt as if she had found this happiness. Ding, Jioshinai, good feeling value. Ye Feng ignored the system prompts and enjoyed his alone time with Jioshinai with peace of mind. However, the system doesn't seem to want to let the overnight maple go so easily. Ding, given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, send Jioshinai back immediately and be a good person. Reward, sea-level ninjutsu. Option 2, put down your arms and fight against the thunder shadow that invaded the border, and be a hero. Reward, blood succession limit, white eyes. Option 3, enjoy this wonderful night quietly and do nothing. Reward, forbidden technique, dirt rebirth. Originally, I wanted to be a good person, but seeing sea-level ninjutsu, I couldn't bear it. Thunder shadow invasion? Shut me up. The corners of Ye Feng's mouth turned up slightly, jumping between the trees, and suddenly deviated from direction, not the way to the gate of Konoha village. Jioshinai exhaled softly, Ye Feng, where are you taking me? You'll find out later. Ye Feng walked through the woods, jumping back and forth between the mountains and rocks, and Jioshinai in his arms suddenly lit up his eyes. 2 huge mountain rock figures appeared in front of him. Yes, Hokage rock. Under the bright moonlight, the portraits on the fire shadow rock had a solemn feeling. At this time, there were only 2 people on the Hokage rock, namely the first generation of Thousand Hands Pillar and the second generation of Thousand Hands Pillar. 3 generations of apes flying to the sun, in the prime of life, have not yet retired, naturally will not do such a stupid thing to lose their value. Ding, discover the Hokage rock, check in successfully, and reward S-level time and space ninjutsu, the art of flying thunder god. Ye Feng didn't expect that on a whim. There would be an unexpected surprise. The Flying Thunder God technique is an S-class time-space ninjutsu developed by the second-generation senjutsu and belongs to a type of instantaneous technique. Using the spell to achieve teleportation, the caster will leave the Flying Thunder God technique on the target beforehand, which can make the caster or objects indirectly in contact with the caster chakra teleport. It is also the famous ninjutsu of the yellow flash wave feng shui gate. In an instant, all the knowledge about the Flying Thunder God art appeared in Ye Feng's mind, and he immediately learned it. The current wave feng shui gate has not yet learned the art of Flying Thunder God, but Ye Feng has taken a step ahead of others and learned the art of Flying Thunder God. Let me down. Jioshinai was pleasantly surprised, standing on the head of a generation of thousand-hand pillars, joyful. Ye Feng sat down, smiled, and said, haven't you been here? No, I always wanted to come, but they wouldn't come. Jioshinai overlooked the entire Konoha village from the top of the Hokage rock, and it was already night, lit up, and there was a warm feeling. It's so pretty. Jioshinai also sat down next to Ye Feng, dangling his calves. The little hand accidentally touched Ye Feng, and immediately retracted like a little rabbit. Ye Feng directly reached out and grabbed Jioshinai's small hand and held it tightly. Jioshinai suddenly blushed and withdrew his hand forcefully, but the movement was too large, and he slid directly from the top of the Hokage rock. Ugh! Jioshinai exhaled softly, only to find a few thick branches that supported him from below. The root carried Jioshinai back, and Jioshinai's face turned red. She felt like she was really stupid, almost fell. Fortunately, it was Night Maple who was there. Jioshinai looked at the roots of the tree and retracted again, looked at Ye Feng curiously and said, Ye Feng, how did you get Muduin? Now Jioshinai is a little doubtful. Ye Feng should not be an illegitimate son of a generation, or an illegitimate grandson, right? Otherwise, how could Mudun use it so brilliantly? At this time, at the gate of Konoha village, Sarutobi Hinata and Lady Sarutobi Biwako, as well as a generation of old lady Uzumaki Mido, specially waited at the door for the return of Ye Feng and Kushina. And then it turns out, what about people? Episode 6. Ye Feng, you know what? My dream before was to be the first female Hokage. The first female Hokage. I can hear the calluses in my ears. Joshinai smiled bitterly and said, yes, now I know that in order to realize my dreams, you must have great power, but unfortunately I don't. Ye Feng looked at Joshinai and smiled. Joshinai puffed out his mouth and said, what are you laughing at? Since it is a dream, how can you give up easily? Isn't it the female Hokage? I think you can. In the near future, you will be the nine-tailed pillar force. Just imagine, the female version of Naruto. Why can't she be a Hokage? When Joshinai heard Ye Feng's words, he immediately rolled his eyes. What about you? I'm a salted fish. Well, I suddenly felt that it was not bad to guard Konoha. Just when Hokage said that he wanted to be a salted fish, another voice appeared in his heart, that is, guarding Konoha. Ye Feng could feel that it was after he fused the character card between the Thousand Hand Pillars, and he was also affected by the ninja path between the Thousand Hand Pillars. The original idea was that as long as you protect the village, you can sacrifice yourself. It's just that this concept, Ye Feng does not agree. The layout of the village is too small. Ye Feng saw that it was the entire ninja world, the entire continent. In the end, I don't think guarding Konoha can be regarded as big love, only small love. Jioshina chuckled and said, your words are so strange, guarding Konoha is just Xiaoi? So what is great love? Ye Feng looked up at the moon hanging high in the sky and said, great love, of course, it is the unification of the ninja world, world peace. You say, we Konoha inherit the will of fire, others have the will of water, the will of thunder, the will of earth, the will of wind, and people in different villages have their own will. All villages, all countries, must guard the will in their hearts, and there will definitely be conflicts, which is the root cause of many ninja world wars. If there was only one will in the entire ninja world, would it be able to fight? Joshinai snorted and said, crooked heresy. In this case, do not talk nonsense in the village, you know? 1 hour later, Joshinai looked at Ye Feng and said, Ye Feng, it's too late now, let's go. Ye Feng clapped his palms and stood up. Joshinai also stood up. Ye Feng smiled and directly pushed Joshinai down. Ugh. Joshinai exhaled softly and hugged Ye Feng tightly. Ye Feng threw a flying thunder god technique style ku-woo in the air, and plunged straight into the village wall below. We fell. As soon as the words fell, Joshinai found that he had arrived at the wall of the village. This is the first time Ye Feng has tried to use the flying thunder god technique, and the consumption of chakra is a bit large. No wonder it is a forbidden technique. Like the multiple shadow avatars, chakra is not enough to be used. Ye Feng glanced at it, and another reason was that the skill level was too low. If the skill level is increased, the consumption of chakra should be reduced a lot. As for how to improve the skill level, you should practice your skills. Joshinai asked with a curious look, is this ninjutsu? Ye Feng smiled and said, don't tell anyone else. Joshinai nodded blankly. At the gate of Konoha village, the third generation and the others have been waiting for more than an hour. Uzumaki Mido looked at Sarutobi Hinata indifferently and said, 3 generations of Hokage, what's going on? Although Uzumaki Mido has long ignored the internal affairs of the village, as the first old lady, Uzumaki Mido is a senior wife of 3 generations in terms of generation. Ape Fei slashed in front of Uzumaki Mido, and did not dare to make a second attempt, and quickly said, old lady, it's all blamed for the negligence in the next moment. But there is no evil intention in looking at Ye Feng. Maybe where did he take Joshinai to play? Sarutobi scolded Night Kid in his heart, who in the village does not know. Uzumaki Mido lost his son in his old age, and he valued his granddaughter Tsunade the most. And there was also Joshinai, the successor of Renzali. Now Yokai doesn't know where to take Joshinai, and Uzumaki Mido is now asking for guilt, and he is going to be miserable. Uzumaki Mido looked at the ape flying sun chop coldly and said, ape flying sun chop, it's so late, what else is fun? Sarutobi knew that Uzumaki Mido was angry, and quickly said, old lady, I must find them out in the next place. Suddenly, a girl's voice came from behind. Grandma Mido. Uzumaki Mido looked back and saw that Jioshina had thrown himself into his arms. Joshinai, are you alright? Jioshina shook his head and said, Grandma Mido, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were waiting here. Uzumaki Mido said very kindly, it's okay, Joshinai, where did you go to play? We went there. Joshinai pointed at Hokage Rock and said. Uzumaki Mido looked at the first generation on the Hokage Rock, and then at Yokai. This young man's temperament was a little similar to that of his husband Senjuju. Am I too old and dizzy? Young man, are you? Ye Feng was in awe. In the next Ye Feng, I have seen the first old lady. This is the oldest ninja in the village, and one of the strongest ninjas in the village, the current 9-tailed man Jili. Although old, the emaciated camel is bigger than the horse. Uzumaki Mido smiled and said, very good, young man, I heard that you will be Muduan? Can you show the old body? Yikid could feel that Uzumaki Mido was not malicious, and with a flick of his hand, small green saplings immediately grew on the ground. Everyone's eyes widened. Ape Fei Richo couldn't help but ask, Ye Feng, when are you? Ye Feng shrugged and said, when I went to rescue Joshinai today, I was seriously injured by Yunin Shangren, and I don't know why, so I suddenly awakened. Awakened the blood succession limit? Yes, it just suddenly became like this. Sarutobi looked at Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito nodded and said, "It's the breath of the Thousand Hands clan, not the kind of artificial breath. I didn't expect. Ye Feng, you are also the bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan, and you also awakened the blood succession limit." Saying that, Uzumaki Mito's voice choked a little. The inheritance of the Thousand Hands clan has not been broken, even if the old body is dead now. There is no guilt in going down to the 9 springs to see the pillars. Sarutobi Biwa Lake hurriedly comforted and said, "Don't say this, old lady. This is the luck of the Senju clan, and it is also the luck of Konoha." The 3 generations also echoed, "Yes, we have another young talent in Konoha." Uzumaki Mito smiled and looked at Hokage and Kushina like seeing the young pillar and himself. "Otherwise, go home and match them." Thinking of this, Uzumaki Mito said kindly, "Ye Kid, Jio let's go back." Episode 7, Go Back? Ye Kid was stunned for a moment. Shouldn't he go back to the residence of the Uzumaki clan with Uzumaki Mito and Jio? He moved out when he was 10 years old and lived alone by the river outside the village. Because Jio was too violent, Ye Feng was beaten badly, plus growing up, men and women were not intimate, Ye Feng simply ran away from home. Ye Feng didn't expect that there would be a day to go back. Uzumaki Mito looked at Yoki lovingly and said, "Yes, you won't live outside by yourself in the future." Ye Feng waved his hand and said, The old lady doesn't need it, I'm used to being free alone." Jio was originally very happy, but when he heard Ye Feng refuse, he suddenly felt a sense of loss. Did he fight too much Night Maple before? Ape Flying Biwa Lake said, "Ye Feng, let you move back in, it is also for your own good. Moreover, when you go back, you will also have a companion with Jio." Jio face suddenly turned red, and he secretly glanced at Ye Feng. Ape Flying Sun Chopper also said, "Yes, you have awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and it is really not safe to live outside." Uzumaki Mito nodded and said, "Ye Kid, you live outside, you really don't feel at ease, can you accommodate my wife?" "Old lady, you are serious." Ye Feng muttered and said, "I'll move back, but give me one night to pack my things." "Ye Feng, do you need help?" Jio asked softly. "No need, see you tomorrow, Jio." Ye Feng smiled and said. Ape Fei Richo coughed and said, "Ye Feng, Jio, come to my office at 10 a.m. tomorrow." "Got it, Naruto-sama." Ye Feng agreed, turned around and left. Jio looked at Ye Kid reluctantly, and Mito Uzumaki next to her smiled lovingly. She could see the little girl's thoughts. Ape Fei sighed, "The village has not been peaceful recently." Unexpectedly, Lei Ying and the 8-tailed man Zhu Li both went undercover to save Yunin and crossed the line, which was too bold. Shua Mao and Shui Men were both injured and returned, but fortunately they just lost those cloud-hidden undercover agents and did not lose their lives. It was also for this reason that they were not worried that Ye Feng lived outside alone. And not only the danger of other ninja villages, but also the undercurrent inside the village. If it weren't for someone inside the village to help Yunin go undercover, Jio wouldn't have been robbed so easily. Ye Feng went back to his one-story log cabin by the river and lay down directly. Today's day's harvest is really too much. Character cards between the Thousand Hand Pillars, the Flying Thunder God technique, and the rebirth of Dirty Earth. And Jio. From today onwards, the plot has changed, and with my help, this chick may really be able to become the first female Hokage. There is also a supreme gift package that has not been opened yet. Ding. Do you want to open the supreme gift pack? Yes. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the S-level psychic inheritance, Dragon Earth Cave. Longdi Cave, one of the 3 holy places, the inheritance place of the same name as Miamu Mountain and the Wetbone Forest, is inhabited by a large number of snakes, among which the high-rise big snake is good at using fairy arts, and the white snake immortal lives on the throne deep in the Dragonland Cave. Please explore for yourself. Ye Feng looked at the scroll that suddenly appeared in his hand and pondered. This is the inheritance scroll of Longdi Cave, and you can enter Longdi Cave by opening the scroll, which contains the inheritance of various small snakes and big snakes. The big snake pill psychic beast big snake, 3-headed snake, and 10,000 snakes are all high-level big snakes among them. Sasuke's psychic beast, little green snake, is also a member of the family. It's really interesting. I don't know if it's the ninja god Thousand Hand Pillar is powerful, or the white snake immortal is powerful. However, tonight, there is really a fate with Longdi Cave. Ye Feng looked out the window, and at the window, there were one small white snake after another. The snake letter swallowed, and his eyes flashed with light. At the same time, Ye Feng could sense that around the house, hundreds of small white snakes were pouring into the house densely. An extremely cold malice enveloped the entire room. "It's a big snake pill." Ye Feng moved gently, and countless tree roots appeared on the ground, instantly hanging all the little white snakes on the ground. Good. An extremely cold voice appeared. Ye Feng looked out the window, and Orochimaru was standing by the river, looking at himself with interest, wild and dangerous gaze, and that seeping snake smile. This was the first time Ye Feng had seen the big snake pill. "Hey!" Orochimaru's ears sounded Ye Feng's sigh, and he actually made himself feel a trace of danger. Dark magic. This illusion is to create a dark environment that blocks the opponent's vision, and in complete darkness, only the caster can see clearly. It is an illusion that hallucinates vision and takes away all light. In the dark world that seems to have descended from pitch black, even powerful people can only be forced to reveal their position. This teenager is really so funny. There is even a dark technique of the Thousand Hands clan. It's a replica of the original. Orochimaru's eyes emitted a dangerous light. This person is full of secrets. I must capture it back for experiments. Living experimental subjects are worth more than the corpses of the first generation. At this time, Ye Feng's voice came from the ears of the big snake pill. My house has been damaged a lot. You have to compensate. Before the words fell, a piercing sound broke out in the back of his head. Orochimaru's heart was very dangerously alert. Body fixing. Although the body fixing technique is a D-level ninjutsu that shinobi also knows how to use, but now the Great Snake Pill is used, and even Konoha White Fan can be restrained. However, with a loud bang, the big snake pill was directly kicked and exploded by Ye Feng. Although Ye Feng was fixed, the force was too great, the speed was too fast, and the inertia was still there. Blood splattered. A small white snake shattered into countless segments and fell to the ground. Avatar. Ye Feng's pupils shrank, and a fierce killing intent appeared on his body. It's really a big snake pill. The big snake pill suddenly appeared 10 meters away, and a bloodstain appeared on his face, and he was still injured if he didn't completely dodge it just now. If it's 0.1 seconds late, you'll probably have a headshot. Episode 8. It's so interesting. This is a strange force, the physical skills of the Thousand Hands clan, which can burst out powerful air currents through the air. Are you really an orphan of the Thousand Hands clan? At this time, the big snake pill also became completely serious. Hidden shadow, snake hand. However, the big snake pill went in the wrong direction. The dark technique limits the vision of the big snake pill, and in the eyes of the big snake pill, the perspective is dark, and nothing can be seen, and he can only rely on intuition. Then, Orochimaru's intuition was wrong, and several hideous pythons shot out from the cuffs and frantically output into the air. At this time, the big snake pill found that he was a little careless. He had just received a lot of injuries, and he originally thought that he could suppress the other party, capture the other party and go back to the laboratory, study it well, and see if he could find out the secret of the Thousand Hands clan. I didn't expect this guy to be so tricky. The cold moonlight, the ground was a white flower, but in the vision of the big snake pill, it was pitch black, and the 5 fingers could not be seen. At this time, there was a whistling wind sound behind the big snake pill's head. Behind, the big snake pill quickly lowered his head, and suddenly a painful look appeared on his face. Lumbago. Bend over too fast. Blood was oozing out. Not good. Orochimaru knew that something was going to happen. Avatar. Bang, bang. However, the stand-in technique also did not work. Ye Feng hit the stand-in with the first blow, and in the second blow, the big snake pill had already felt the sharp fist wind blowing on his face. Instantaneous technique. Orochimaru jerked back and sighed. At a young age, he has such a fighting talent. He is simply a genius. Whether it was the position or the timing, he grasped it so accurately, and with his fists and feet alone, he was forced to retreat. It's not like a shinobi at all. Although the physical skills of the big snake pill are not good, they are also shadow-level powerhouses like the 3rd generation of Shurcheng, and the physical skills of the general ninja may not be as good as the big snake pill. To clean up the brat who had just awakened the blood succession limit, he actually failed. Just like the continuous attack just now, that kind of terrifying momentum, I am afraid that one punch can defeat ordinary Shangren. Ye Feng didn't expect that the big snake pill would retreat like this. This is the Konoha Legend 3 shinobi. It's a bit weak. Although it is a little stronger than Buofeng Shuimen, it is not much stronger. The performance of the big snake pill made Ye Feng a little disappointed. Come again. Ye Feng still didn't feel too addicted. Orochimaru was furious. Originally, he was concerned about his injuries and didn't want to cause too much movement, so he just used 30% of his strength. Now you really think that my big snake pill is a bully? Kusanagi sword. Orochimaru lowered his head and took out the Kusanagi sword from his mouth. Stop. Suddenly, a huge King Kong Rui stick fell from the sky. It smashed between the big snake pill and Ye Feng, separating the two. The big snake pill was knocked off again, fell heavily on the ground, and spat out a large mouthful of blood. At the same time, Night Fang's dark technique was also cracked. The big snake pill regained his vision, and the moment he saw the King Kong Rui stick, he put away the Kusanagi sword. Ape Fei chopped down, put away the King Kong Rui stick, and quickly looked at Ye Feng and said, Ye Feng, are you okay? Before he finished speaking, he felt that the atmosphere was a little wrong. Looking back, I saw how the big snake pill fell to the ground. What's going on? Sarutobi frowned. The big snake pill was actually beaten and vomited blood? It seems that Ye Feng is not simple. Ye Feng pointed at the ape flying sun slash and said, 3 generations of adults. It was your King Kong rod that smashed him. Huh? Is that me? The big snake pill had blood on his mouth, and said with a smile, Teacher, it's nothing. I just heard that someone suddenly awakened the blood succession limit of the Thousand Hands clan, and I was curious to test it. Be bold. Ape Fei looked at the big snake pill with a scowl on his face. The big snake pill, didn't come back to report at the first time, come here to test? You're just daring. Ape Flying Sun Chopper is really angry. Not long ago, a generation of old ladies said that they wanted Ye Feng to go back, in case something happened to Ye Feng. How could he explain to a generation of old ladies? The Great Snake Pill did not go through the temptation he agreed to, and he was already angry with the Ape Flying Sun. This guy of the Big Snake Pill, who originally hoped to inherit his mantle, has now done so. Ye Feng, what is going on with the Big Snake Pill? I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer tomorrow. Saying that, Ape Flying Sun Chopper took the Big Snake Pill away. Ye Feng looked at the Ape Flying Sun, and thought to himself, this will not be the third generation of old men let the Big Snake Pill test himself. Think about it, although the 3 generations of old men are soft-hearted, they should not do such a thing. It should be that the Big Snake Pill this guy is interested in himself. But Ye Feng didn't care at all, his strength was improving every day. Not surprisingly, within a year, he will completely fuse the character card between the 1,000-hand pillars and get the full strength of the 1,000-hand pillars. Besides, today's Big Snake Pill was taken away by the Ape Flying Sun / like this, and he will not trouble himself in a short time. When Ye Feng's strength was raised another notch, it was Ye Feng's turn to go to the Big Snake Pill to discuss the experience of soil rebirth. Episode 9. Back at the village gate, the Uchiha clan who kept vigil bowed respectfully to Sarutobi and Orochimaru. Naruto-sama, Lord Orochimaru. Ape Fei Richo nodded and said with a smile, hard work. Then he looked at the Big Snake Pill and said, is your abdomen okay? Orochimaru smiled and said, it's okay, teacher, as long as you don't pursue what happened just now. Humph. Do you still know the seriousness of the matter? Orochimaru shook his head and said, teacher, he shouldn't be the first generation. Ape Fei looked at the Big Snake Pill coldly and said, don't talk nonsense, otherwise, at that time, the Uzumaki clan would not have allowed him to live here for so long. But now, the old lady Mito regards him as her own, and tomorrow he will move back to the old lady's side, and it is difficult for me to do things like this. So that's it, it's okay, teacher, I deliberately let him just now, and I didn't hurt him at all. Ape Fei glanced at the Big Snake Pill, half convinced. The Big Snake Pill was still reminiscing about the battle with Ye Feng just now, although he didn't give his best, he also had a hunch that the other party also had more whole cards. What are the whole cards? It seems to catch him and go back to study. Sarutobi suddenly asked, who told you that? When I rescued Chimu Shuamao and Buofeng Shui Men, they said. Ape Fei glanced at the blood-oozing abdomen of the Big Snake Pill and said, even so, you shouldn't be tempted, the experiment of the primary cell has long been stopped. Orochimaru smiled and said, teacher, I think you can still fight for it. No, it's definitely not. Ape Fei Chopper interrupted him and said, don't talk about the original cells, you still want to use the only awakened blood succession limit of the 1,000 Hands family to do experiments. Are you looking for death? The Big Snake Pill hurriedly said, teacher, I only need a little blood, just a little, for the 1,000 Hands clan, a little blood is nothing at all. Ape Fei shook his head and said, if you say no, you can't. Orochimaru sighed, okay, I know. Teacher, I'm just curious, I don't have other ideas, if it's okay, I'll leave first. Wait a minute, you rest for 2 days and continue to go back to monitor the movements of Yunin village. Teacher, I have been seriously injured, and I need to recuperate for at least half a year. Ape Fei Chop looked at the Big Snake Pill, such an injury, a month will do, you raise it for half a year? You go to Yunin village to hide, and it's never too late to recuperate. Today, my breath was exposed, and I am afraid that I was remembered by the 8-tailed human pillar force. Teacher, do you always want me to die in Yunin? Ape Fei Richo took a deep breath and said, don't give me these useful and useless things, where you recuperate is to recuperate, the 3 ninja lines of Konoha, even if you go to Yunin village now, it will not be difficult for you. Don't bother Ye Feng anymore, not only my gaze, but also the eyes of others, are paying attention to him. If you really cuss something, I can't protect you. Orochimaru smiled and said, don't worry, teacher, I won't do anything stupid, and ask the teacher to send someone else to monitor Yunin village. Hey, Orochimaru, I haven't promised you yet, you come back. Orochimaru smiled and said, teacher, I recommend Ye Feng, I think it is appropriate for him to go to Yunin, he has the ability to protect himself. At the same time, whether it is in the village or other ninja villages, no one knows his details. After speaking, the Big Snake Pill had left without looking back. Hey, forget it, let the Big Snake Pill rest for a while, he has also worked hard. Ape Fei Chopper still couldn't bear the heart, and sighed. I was also thinking about the last words of the Big Snake Pill, Ye Feng going to Yunin village? The Big Snake Pill also makes sense, Ye Feng is too advantageous, but now the last inheritance of the 1,000 Hands clan is on Ye Feng. If something happens, I really can't be the first teacher. The next morning, the morning sun rose, the sun came into view, and the night maple yawned. Why are you here so early? Yokaid wiped his eyes, and the doorway opened directly, and a tree root tied a ninja with a mask on his face, came in. The ninja looked at Yokaid with a look of horror. Before he came, but he had checked the information. How could a lower shinobi tie himself up as a middle shinobi? And his own chakra is still draining. What's going on? Nakato immediately said, Ye Feng, Lord Tuanzo, invites you to his house for a while. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, go to the house of the group and become the Dark of Konoha. Reward, B-level ninjutsu wind escape vacuum wave. Option 2, go to the Hokage's office, meet Sarutobi Hinata, and become a new star of Konoha. Reward, C-grade ninjutsu telescopic art. Option 3, don't go anywhere, be a salted fish, automatically upgrade. Rewards, 10 times the fusion speed of character cards between the 1,000 hand pillars, 10 times the experience point of all ninjutsu, not included with character cards. Does this still need to be chosen? Option 3, of course. When a salted fish, upgrade automatically. Ye Feng directly threw the Nakanin in front of him out of the door and lay down again. Fine death. This root was furious and did not put their root and Tuanzang in their eyes like this. He thought about it, but still had no impulse, and immediately ran back to report. Ye Feng looked at the fusion degree of the character card between the 1,000 hand pillars, and woke up after sleeping last night, which increased from the initial 5% to 5.1%. After another hour of sleep, Ye Feng looked again, and the fusion level increased from 5.1% to 5.2%. Lie in the groove, 1 hour and 1 night. It's really salted fish that has a future. It's just that there's nothing here. It's a bit boring. Ye Feng thought about it, left the Flying Thunder God technique for Ku Wu, threw it out, and in the next second, the person arrived at Ku Wu. It seems to be quite fast to practice skills like this. Therefore, Ye Feng himself practiced the art of taking off the God of Thunder, flying without chaos, and his experience points rose sharply. At this time, in the Hokage office, Sarutobi had an ugly face. It's 10 o'clock, and Ye Feng hasn't come yet. Uzumaki Mito, as well as Joshinai, and Orochimaru, are also in the office. Night Maple released their pigeons. Episode 10. The Big Snake Pill specially apologized for yesterday's reckless behavior, but as a result, Ye Feng did not come. It's so funny, this young man. Orochimaru's eyes flashed, and he felt the urge to immediately take him away to unpack and do experiments. Uzumaki Mito glanced at the Big Snake Pill and said with a bad face, Sarutobi, I know that you wanted to do a lot of research to resurrect the original Mu escape secret technique with the strength of the whole village, but that proved to be a wrong path, and it has been banned, like last night. Don't do it again. Ape Fairy nodded and said, Yes, old lady, I have already warned the Big Snake Pill, and the Big Snake Pill has also recognized his mistake, and there will definitely be no such mistake in the future. The Big Snake Pill skin smiled and said without smiling, Mrs. Mito, I won't be like that in the future. Next time I will definitely do my best to take Ye Feng in an instant, not giving him a chance to fight back. And now, the priority is to transfer Ye Feng out of Konoha village. There is a good opportunity in front of you, and Yunin village is in need of a reliable and powerful person to lurk in. If I can recommend Ye Feng to enter Yunin village, my Big Snake Pill will have a chance. How about I go to his house, and maybe he forgot? Orochimaru suggested. Old Body and Joshinai, just go. Uzumaki Mito snorted and said. Ape Fairy said with a deep groan, Old lady, let's go and see what is going on. Ye Feng did not expect that he released the pigeon of the Ape Flying Sun Chopper, and the Ape Flying Sun Chop actually took the initiative to come. Huh? Yokaid bounced up on the bed and looked out the window at the old lady Mito of Uzumaki, Kushina, the 3rd generation of Hokage, and the scientist Orochimaru, who was walking towards him. He was still training ninjutsu in his imagination just now. Ye Feng experimented with different methods and found that being a salted fish is not simple. Lying in bed and training in the imagination, the improvement of ninjutsu is the highest. Therefore, Ye Feng was lying on the bed just now to train. Of course, in the eyes of the old lady Uzumaki Mito and the 3 generations of Hokage, as well as Orochimaru, Yokaid was sleeping lazily. The 3rd generation of Hokage couldn't help but say, Good morning, don't train well, improve your strength, and actually sleep. It's simply a waste of good time. Uzumaki Mito snorted and said, It's not because you were too tired last night? Only to rest until now. Orochimaru smiled and did not speak, and Joshinai saw Ye Feng sitting on the bed and beckoned sharply. Ye Feng immediately jumped out of the window. Joshinai, old lady, 3rd generation Hokage-sama, Orochimaru-kun, good morning. Saying that, Ye Feng also yawned. A glance at the fusion degree of character cards between the 1,000 hand pillars, good guy. It is already 5.3%. The Flying Thunder God technique and Dirt Rebirth have both been upgraded to level 2. And their perception has also improved. Maybe, these 2 forbidden arts, now in the ninja world, Ye Feng is the most proficient person. After all, the 2nd generation of the original creator of the Flying Thunder God art has been hung up, and Watergate has not yet learned the Flying Thunder God technique. As for the rebirth of dirt, seeing that the Big Snake Pill is now like a good baby around the 3 generations, I know that the Big Snake Pill should not be as frustrating as the experiment after that. Therefore, the forbidden experience of soil rebirth is probably inferior to Ye Feng. Seeing that his teacher was silent, Orochimaru snorted and said, Yokaide, don't you put Hokage's words in your eyes now, and tell you to come to Hokage's office at 9 a.m. What time is it now? Without waiting for Ye Feng to explain, old lady Mito Uzumaki said kindly, Ye Feng, what's wrong with you? Is it uncomfortable somewhere? Old lady, I rested well last night. The main thing is that I don't have time to watch here, and I don't know how quickly time passes when I sleep in bed. After speaking, Ye Feng looked at the 3rd generation of Hokage and said, 3rd generation Hokage-sama, is there something wrong? If nothing happened, I went back to sleep. The corners of Ape Flying Sunchop's mouth twitched. Ye Feng was so lazy. It was simply a waste of talent. Moreover, this guy really doesn't put himself in his eyes. I have never seen a young person with such an attitude towards himself. Ahem, Big Snake Pill, you apologize to Ye Feng first. The Big Snake Pill glanced at Ye Feng, stood a step forward, bowed to Ye Feng, and said, Ye Feng-kun, I'm sorry, I caused you trouble last night. Ye Feng waved his hand and said, it's okay. When Ape Flying Sun saw Ye Feng's such generous appearance, his good impression of Ye Feng recovered a lot. At least this young man's heart was there. Ye Feng, it's like this, after our high-level investigation and research, you performed well in the rescue operation last night, and decided to give you exemption from the Zonin exam and promote the qualification of Zonin. From now on, you are Zhong Shinobi. The envisioned picture in Ape Fei Richo's mind was Ye Feng's face full of smiles, and he accepted it gladly. However, Ye Feng said, I refuse. It's good to be patient, Ye Feng. I will never be promoted to middle tolerance. Everyone was dumbfounded. Just now, the interface of the system appeared in Ye Feng's mind again. Given the current situation of the host, give 3 options. Option 1, accept the title of Naka Shinobi gladly and become a rising star in Konoha. Reward, sea-level ninjutsu, the 3 major knives of windmill manipulation. Option 2, refuse the opportunity to be exempt from the test, indicating that you will take the Zonin exam. Reward, Tier B physique, meet bullet needle chariot. Option 3, directly reject the title of Zonin. It's good to be able to endure. Ye Feng, never promote Zonin. Rewards, 10 times the fusion speed of character cards between the 1,000 hand pillars, a level ninjutsu, Thunder Dun Chidori. Ye Feng's eyes lit up. Does this still need to be chosen?